Hi guys, Mark's here, everything Tenere. Out here in the jungle at the natural habitat of the Tenere 700. But I can't find any. It's empty, quiet and peaceful. But today we're gonna have a Q&A session, so stay tuned. Hi guys, well you saw that little intro. Today it's Q&A session and I'm gonna answer the questions that you guys submitted. I got a few, not too many, but I got some good ones, so I think you will enjoy this one. So let's start off. So I got some questions from Philippe Ledoux in Belgium. First of all, he said, love your channel. You seems to be a guy who really knows the ins and outs. Thank you very much, Philip. Here's some questions, personal question. How did you learn things yourself or by someone else? So I started and I took my bike license a little bit more than 2 years ago on a Yamaha MT-10, which is a lovely bike and really fun, real hoot, but it was just too dangerous because it's hard to keep the speed limit and you really want to go fast. So, you know, I changed my bike to the T7 because I did want to do some gravel and road, and then I just fell in love with going off-road. So I pretty much learned myself, started just practicing on the playground where you see in a lot of my films, and you know, got some pointers from others, friends that I, you know, made new friends having ADV bikes, and learned from them and other guys who actually been, you know, competing in Enduro and stuff like that. But otherwise I'm pretty much self-taught. So that was question 1 from Philip. The other one, would you recommend a second wheel set, one with Enduro tires and one with 50/50 tires? And how long do you think it would take you to replace both wheels should you have 2 sets? So, you know, I would love to have 2 wheel sets for sure, but it's expensive. If you want to have complete wheel sets, you know, you need to have the brake discs and you need to have, you know, the cush drive, but they come with a cush drive, but rear sprocket, you know, 2 discs in front and so on. And I would love to have narrower rims, rear and front, of course. And, you know, changing if you have complete sets, that's like a 10-minute job, right? It's really quick. So yeah, I would really recommend that if you're gonna go a lot off-road and then maybe more road and gravel, then for sure I would have 2 sets if you can afford it. I would love to have that and might get that later on, right? What editing software do you use and how time consuming is it to edit your video? How much time a week do you spend video editing? So I started off by just using my phone and the GoPro, and I edit all the videos on iMovies on my iPhone, which is really easy. It's a really quick way to, you know, edit, and not too fancy, not too many features and functions. And I always wanted to have a laptop to edit on. I had an old iMac, which my oldest daughter have right now, so, and it's old as well. So my goal was always to go to a laptop and then edit on a special software. So 2 months ago I got an iMac Book Pro M1 Pro, and I downloaded DaVinci Resolve, which is a free editing software where you can do everything. I mean everything, and you really need to go down the tutorials route on YouTube to really learn all the stuff if you want to do fancy graphics and so on. But you know, when I set myself into learning something, it goes quickly. So right now I'm editing in DaVinci Resolve, and it's much easier because I can just take my memory card from my GoPro, put it in my laptop, transfer the films. Prior to that, it was always a pain in the ass to transfer the clips via the GoPro app on your phone because I didn't have enough space. I have so much crap on my phone, so I didn't have much space. So doing longer videos was really hard for me. because I needed to delete other stuff. I never kept any original clips and so on, so no real backup if anything failed. But if you want to go into editing and start trying making YouTube clips, I recommend you start with iMovies if you have an iPhone. Android probably have something similar and easy to edit software on your phone. But DaVinci Resolve is very complicated if you want to do more complicated things, but it goes quicker because I can sit at a laptop and make all the text, make fancy things and so on. And a clip takes probably, for me, everything from an hour to 2 hours to edit. It depends on what I need to do and what kind of fancy stuff I want to have in it. I'm starting to get into color grading, which is a deep hole to get stuck in. Luckily I haven't needed to color grade my images or my videos too much yet, so I don't think that's a problem. Right, so both my friend and my Tenere speed is wrong. 100 kilometers an hour on the dashboard equals 90 kilometers an hour on the GPS. Yours as well, guess no way to solve this. Well, yes, it is about 10 kph off on the speedo. I'm not bothered of that because I have my GPS anyways. It would be worse if it was the other way around. It was showing a too slow speed, or it was showing slower speed. How would you say it? If I was going 100 and it was showing 100 on the speedo, but on the GPS it was showing 110, then it should have been worse, right? But yeah, there are ways around this, but I don't recommend it. You can get another ABS ring for the front wheel, which will aid the speed correctness on your speedo, but it will impact your trip. So if you change that, you will add more kilometers on to your trip counter, because the speed and trip are calculated differently on the ECU of the unit, and it's an algorithm that does it to show the slower speed on the speedo, and it's by law and something like that. I don't know why. So it's actually nothing wrong with the ABS disc on the front wheel. It's just made this way. So it's showing the correct trip and distance, but the speed is off. I wouldn't worry about that, and if you have a GPS, you can always go by that one, and I don't see why bother, right? Any chance you are planning on how to YouTube movie and making so how I do edit my films and how I my process of filming and editing, we'll see. Now I went over to DaVinci, of course I can make a video of that. It could be very, very long, as this video will be long as well. But we'll see, maybe it will happen. So that's everything from Philip. Thank you, Philip. The next one is Kyle Bradshaw, my friend in the US, who makes really nice tire reviews. So Kyle is asking me, how do you keep your boots and helmet from stinking? We all know we have a stink issue, right? Mine are actually not stinking that bad, because every time I go out riding, I have this like foot deodorant. So it's like a deodorant that you spray on, but it has some like baby powder in it. So I spray my feet with that prior putting on a sock. And I use merino wool socks, which breathes really good. And if it's get wet, I can dry them really quickly. And I don't get cold in the winter and not too sweaty in the summer. But when I get home, the first thing I do is, of course, take off my boots. And then I have these big dry bags for boots that I put in my boots straight away. So all the moisture are sucked out from the boot. And of course, if I would have done a water crossing or something getting really wet and soaked, it's another story. And I think that's the case when you're starting to get stinky boots, when you really get wet or the boots get soaked, right? Otherwise, people are saying that, you know, if you have Gore-Tex ones, they don't breathe as good as Dry-Star or other materials. And yeah, I see that, you know, going from a watertight boot to something that is more airy might be good, because if you go into a stream or do a water crossing, you will get wet anyway. So a boot will dry quicker if it's not waterproofed. So that's it for me, Kyle. Otherwise, I strongly recommend that you guys use baby powder. It's awesome. You know how sweaty you get. You can baby powder your feet as well before putting on the socks, your crotch area, your butt. I do it on my knees, on my knee pads, because you get really sweaty as well. And I have this from a company called Lush, which makes bath bombs and other kind of stuff. They have something called silky underwear, and it has a nice lavender smell to it. I recommend that. It's really nice to have everywhere where you get really sweaty, so you will not get as sweaty. So that's it from Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. And then we have Jimmy Cruz. So, size of speedo mount and specs on the rally tower arm. So I already emailed Jimmy, my little drawing of my tower arm. It's not a complete drawing, so you need to figure out some stuff yourself. And unfortunately, the speedo mount, relocation mount, I lost the drawings for. I guess I could draw something up, and maybe that will be something I do later on, and I can share with you guys as well as that I did with the tower arm. But there are ready solutions for this. You can buy from what is it? TM something, an Italian company, and the one that Manuel is also having, Rebel X Racing, or what is it? And then you have another Italian company that has one as well. One is you have to have a other top clamp on your handlebars, and the other one has the top clamp built in on the handlebars. But they are between 150 and 200 euros, so they're quite expensive. And you can make one yourself much cheaper if you have the tools. But I will try to share that later on in another YouTube video, and also drawings that you can ask for, and I can share it with you guys. So thanks to Jimmy. Next one is from ADV Motors on Instagram. Do you run OEM rear sprocket or 48 teeth or tooth? I'm running OEM ones, but I've thought of replacing the OEM one to a bigger sprocket in the rear, just to have a smoother second gear running off-road on trails. But I'm not complaining at the OEM one, because I think I'm somewhere in between. You know, when I put second gear in, I'm happily having second gear in, and I don't have problem, you know, traversing the surroundings or the trails at a higher speed, of course. But yeah, the 48 tooth one would be good. But if you run a lot of gravel and road, then maybe you should keep the OEM setup. So thanks you, ADV Motors. Then we have Marcus Olofsson 71 on Instagram. Thank you, Marcus, for the very quick sale of the rally seat. So Marcus is the one that sold me the rally seat. He left the T7 area and went to another brand. I think he went with a 701. I don't remember. But thanks, Marcus. Shout out to you. The seat is lovely. Are you planning any ADV trips? So this is a big one, right? I am planning, or I'm thinking of planning ADV trips. I really want to go to all events in Sweden, like Skoog and like the GA that is this weekend, or Gävle Adventure Weekend. And there are more meets up, right? I want to do that first off, but for sure I want to go out on weekend trips, go out tenting in the forest somewhere. I also want to do a TED trip to Estonia, and would love to go down to Spain, Italy, Portugal, Greece, and do stuff like that. But further down south, you know, it will take a long time. You need to be away for a couple of weeks if you don't fly down there and rent a bike, of course, but that's not the same thing, right? So we'll see. And I also want to do rallies, but ADV trips for sure. But being kids every other week, then you know, my girlfriend lives in another town not too far from here, so you spend the time either home with the kids or not at home, away from my bike. But yeah, I'm planning to do more trips, and for sure 2023 will be the year when I start exploring more. And yeah, that's about it at the moment, and I will share all the planning I have when it's finalized, or when I think of doing stuff. But next year at least it will be Skoog event and the GA event in Gävle, and more things as well, shorter trips, 2-day trips, weekend trips, whatnot. So rallies will have to come later as well, because there are not a lot of rallies up here, so I will need to travel further down in Europe. That's also a problem. You want to have a trailer or a truck where you can fit everything in and have spare parts, tires and so on, so it's a bit of pain in the ass. Now comes the other questions which I have received prior, and some have been regarding motors, RAL-C, what I think about them. I put about 3,500 kilometers on them, at least, and there's still a lot chunks left on it, or a lot of rubber left on it. And I have 2 more rear wheels and 1 front in my closet actually, so I'm very happy with that. But I'm also going to try out Michelin tracker that some people are using on the T7 as well, doing more off-roady stuff. So that will be really fun, because what the Motus RALs lacks is traction on slippery stuff, like going on grass, wet grass, or more muddy conditions where you have more ruts and so on. It's really hard to get out of ruts. And on grass and loose material, I would want to have a front wheel with more bite in it, and of course a rear wheel as well with more bite. So the rubber shortage is causing a bit of a delay due to I don't have a rear wheel yet. I have a front wheel but not a rear wheel. So that's it about the RALs. Well guys, that's it for the August 2022 Q&A session. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later, and I will tell you guys when you can submit your questions, or just send me a PM on Instagram or email me at everythingtenere@hotmail.com, and I will for sure reply to your questions straight away, and I will also add them to the bin of questions for later Q&A sessions. So have a nice one, stay safe and take care. Cheerios, bye bye.